Following the Norman invasion, there was a huge programme of rebuilding churches across the country, which has left us with what we now regard as the typical English church. In around 1120, the timber Saxon church was rebuilt in the Norman style. Instead of timber, the Normans built in stone. Parts of this building can still be seen today. The original church would have been almost twice the length of the present church. The nave may have had low, narrow aisles, and beyond the chancel arch, the second part of the church was the choir. This is where the nuns gathered for prayers 7 times a day. The nave was largely empty of seating, with the walls and columns adorned with colourful religious imagery. Between the nave and the choir were 4 arches forming a square, on which was built a tower with a single bell. The most significant internal feature was the shrine to St Editha, where local people and pilgrims, as well as the Polesworth nuns, would pray for the conversion of England, restoration of the sick, consolation for the afflicted, repentance of sinners, and peace to the departed. On the northern edge of the choir would have been a number of smaller buildings, possibly chantries and memorial chapels, commemorating saints and patrons of the Abbey. The Abbey would have consisted of a cloister, around which was the chapter house, where the nuns would meet for daily instruction on the rule of St Benedict, the dormitory and toilet or rear dorter, the kitchen and dining area or freighter. The abbess's house was situated more or less where the parsonage is now. These would have been contained in what is now the parsonage garden. Between the chapter house and the choir was a narrow walkway called a slipe. In 1243, the Abbess of Polesworth petitioned Henry III for the village to become a market town, with a weekly market and an annual fair. More space was needed in this monastery church for parishioners, and so a parish nave was added to the north side of the existing nave. This exists today, though it's possibly wider now than in the 1200s. In addition to this, the south aisle was built up to the same height of the main church, and the tower was made wider and taller. There's evidence that part of the church was sinking, and the columns started to tilt towards the west end. The heavy central tower may have started to become unsafe. Due to its weight and the destabilisation of the nave, the central tower was demolished, and a smaller tower built at the east end of the parish nave, where the tower stands today. The roof was flattened in the typical perpendicular style, and battlements added. The choir was widened by raising the south aisle to the full height of the church.